G'day everybody, Alan Andres here, founder of ZuCoins and ZuCas. Today is Monday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, 4 p.m. It's the 11th of October, 2021. It's going to be a big couple of days with these live broadcasts because what I've decided is that we're getting very close now with the pointy end of things. Today's episode, just so it's on the record there, episode 20, is about the crypto exchange and exchanges that we're dealing with. So to give you a full update in that regard, which is really about Bittrex Global. So I'll talk about that. Tomorrow, lead in, is going to be episode 21, which is about the soft launch supercharge. Now, episode 21 is what I've locked in as being season 1. So we've got 21 episodes for season 1. We'll be having some big news tomorrow. Everybody needs to tune into that in relation to the wallets and what's happening there. Big episode tomorrow. So after tomorrow's episode, we'll have everything in train. You'll have the full rollout, what's going to happen, and starting to firm up now. We're at with the dates and things. And then I'm going to take a bit of time off. So season 1, that'll be the finale, because we'll be putting everything into your hands, everybody, into the exciting program. So look forward to that tomorrow. And it looks like then I'll come back into action around about the 1st of November for season 2. Now, it might be a bit later than that. The staff will give an update on that. So there won't be any ZuTime after we finish the season 1 finale with episode 21. We'll leave it for a couple of weeks, maybe a few weeks, because when we come back into season 2, we should be seeing some excitement with you guys playing with your wallets, playing with your 10 coins as planned, as per the soft launch. No change there. And certainly season 2 is going to be all in-depth technology. That's where the big guns come into play. I've put in train 21 episodes then, which is clarified the vision and the programs, and we'll do a bit of a recap on that tomorrow, just a brief one about those episodes. But season 2 is going to be the big guns. That's the technical in-depth. You're going to hear some pretty exciting stuff from the great Robert Novak. We've been saving him till the best to last, and he's going to take you on a journey that will be memorable, recorded live with me and broadcast to you, because that'll be our time is your time in that regard. So I'm excited about that, and that gives the team time to work with you guys as you're working through your wallets. We'll talk about that tomorrow. So today is the episode 20 on the exchanges, and people have been wondering where that's up to and what's happening and so forth. Well, this is where we give you now the exact position on that. Now, I said it from way back in the earlier, many earlier episodes, and I've put it in the EDMs or the emails, that the exchange, we've had 4 exchanges that are contracted to us or in the pipeline. And we've got one that's been the one that I've really focused in on with the team. That'll be our first cab off the rank, so to speak. And you're aware of it in any event, but it's Bittrex Global. And you should be aware that there's 2 divisions of that. One is Bittrex USA, and the second is obviously the one we're contracted to out of Europe, which is the global arm that gives all of those outside of the US of A the opportunity to participate in trading in our coins. And Bittrex Global is the one that we like in terms of, well, for a number of issues, and I'll go through those in a minute. But I thought I'd run through that. So that's the first one. We do have, as I said, 3 others. You're aware of Elbait. That's still, footprint is still there. We're not ready to press that button with that one yet. That's for the Australian market. And bear in mind, Elbait's in the top 10 in Australia as well. Certainly Bittrex is right up in the top 10 in Australia as an exchange. We'll talk about that. And we do have a couple of others that I won't disclose yet, but we'll just wait and see whether we need them. We don't feel as though we need them. We think that what's going to happen with Bittrex Global will be sufficient to deliver us the outcomes that we want to achieve, which is in my earlier episodes in any event. So let's start with the first question. The first question on the exchanges is who? Well, I've answered that. Bittrex Global. That's who. That's the one that you'll be running with, and that's the one that yes, will be put in play. The next question, question 2, is when. Well, they've been ready for some time in the sense that the due diligence and the contracts and all the stuff that goes on underneath, the big monies that was paid to make sure we locked in the listing, that's all been done and dusted. And the only part that needs to be put in play then is the API, which is the bridge that connects the wallets or the split chain network to the exchange. And that satisfies obviously 2 things. One is it allows you guys that are keen to get out there and see what that trading platform does and sell a few if you want, buy some, whatever you want to do. We're confident with how the support's going to be in that regard. So fantastic for those that were early adopters and want to make a profit. By all means, welcome to the world of having a few bob in your pocket, and good luck to you. And that's thank you for being a part of our team in the early days, and rightly so. Well rewarded. Those that want to hodl a bit longer, well, certainly that's the long-term visions that I've got, my personal beliefs in that regard, and you've heard that before. So the when. Now, the when is that with that API, it needs both team development teams to come together, and that's Robert's team, led by Robert, of course, and the team within Bittrex Global out of Europe. Now, they're based in Liechtenstein, EU country, which puts them into the EU laws. And as a result of that, they have been waiting patiently because they can't start the processes until the very last wallet that we send out has been activated. So it's the moment that the last ZuCoin holder gets his wallet in our lists and presses that activation button that we then can commence the process to build that bridge or that API or finish that off. Now, a lot of work's been done in earlier days, and you can only get to a certain point because you're doing changes as well in the back end with the wallet and bits and pieces. And obviously our concern has been obviously one about the interface, which means that you guys can make it easy. But secondly, more importantly, long term, is that you've got the network scalability and firepower to take it to the numbers we want to see achieved globally. So there are tweaks that have to be done. Now, you can take a developer and they'll say, look, there's a date set for, 7 days, 5 days, whatever it is. And, my experience has been, I've learnt the art of patience in a big way. Thank goodness for the art of war by Sun Tzu, because these dates tend to get stretched. And that's when you get wound up because your expectations are there. And, you're in the hands of these powers to be with the developers. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just life. Suck it up, because you want the bigger picture and you want the dollars to be made. Well, then you've got to go through small pain barriers. So in terms of the when is that from in both camps, that's both between the testing of the APIs from Bittrex Global team and Robert's team, it's somewhere between 3 weeks and 6 weeks maximum for that to be fully put in place for the rest of the world to be participants in the exchange. So again, the when is somewhere between 3 weeks to 6 weeks from the date of the last person that signs off with their wallet, which is active. And that's you sitting there with your coins and away you go. Now, I can't stress how crucial that is, not only just for the trading side of things, but also that API becomes a template for every exchange, which is why we're not worried about when we want to wrap up some more exchanges on our current contracts in Australia and elsewhere. And in fact, I'm glad that we sort of took a bit of time, because we nearly went down a pretty expensive road with an exchange like Liquid. And in that instance, they'd got hacked into as an exchange and lost $90 million. So that's always at the forefront of our minds, protecting these assets. Because once you're trading crypto, the temptations there, it's not just about ZuCoins, but, as I said, I'm a fan of Bitcoin. And, let's hope it goes to $500,000 a coin. Good luck to it, because I like the technology and I like the evolution of that technology, and hence why we're here. So that's the when part. Now, moving into the third question is the how. Now, the how is the exact position that I've just talked about, what happens in that 3 to 6 week time frame. And there's a lot of work, an enormous amount of work when you're talking these APIs and the way these bridges work to connect things. Now, we've experienced it for 20 years in connecting and having plugins and all sorts of things to different processes. I mean, as a business in ZuCas, and you simply want to receive credit card or debit card payments, it just doesn't happen overnight. It's just an absolute nonsense to think you can flick a switch and away you go. There's months, generally, preparation time for those connections and bridges, those APIs. And that goes with anything you see in your phones or your apps. There's a lot of back end work. So in that 3 to 6 weeks, and let's hope it's less than that. I mean, we've put a lot of fat in there, so we're comfortable with that time zone. But, if there are any blowouts, well, then that's what happens. But nevertheless, we hope it's less, because I've got coins like you guys, and the excitement of one exchange with an API means we can, as I said, roll out more. But more importantly, that API becomes the key API for all of the merchants that we can then run that timeline through with our ZuCas merchants, and any other merchant for that matter that wants to accept, ZuCoins. And even, just on that point, we had a client actually this morning, one of our ZuCoin holders. Now, he's done a bit of an IOU, which, we can't stop that. He's had some coins, and he had a significant price on his coins. And we got notification. I'm not sure if the staff will send a copy of it out, but, he picked up an 80,000 Australian dollar solar system that was paid fully in coins based on when he receives the coins in the future. That particular merchant was comfortable in getting coins at a later date from this gentleman. And that's an indication that had we had the APIs in place, then, of course, those APIs can be picked up in the open market, if you like, the open source code, and every merchant on the planet can start adding them to their websites without even knowing what we're doing. Doesn't matter. But that's the crucial part of getting that API right with Bittrex Global. And hence, that was a fairly big factor in that timeline, that we're dealing with a large organization that is capable of putting the resources in to get us over that line relatively quickly. Because some of the exchanges, and you can do your own homework, these exchanges can take, anything from 3 to 6 months on those API integrations. And that's just with using standard blockchains and ERC20s and coins and stuff. So there is a life cycle there for that. So that's the how part. Is it's all about how the teams come together, the way they can work together now. And a lot of this will be driven by Robert in that process, because he's got such a huge knowledge bank in relation to the way that's going to be created uniquely for the Bittrex team and what happens. And remember, as I said, in the case of our exchange dealings, the coins always reside with you. It's a read-only type API that when you go to sell, the exchange will have this bridge that'll be able to read the balances that you have in your particular wallets, and it verifies that. And if that happens, it can transact and instruct effectively you transferring to another peer. The peer gets the coins and you get the money from the exchange. And of course, the experiences that we've now had, we've done a lot of changes in the back end from the SMS point of view, a lot of coding changes there that Robert's been doing. And that gives us that lead time to also make sure that's effective for the experiences that you had with the SMS, and just what I did in the live demonstration, which that live demonstration, again, I can't stress enough, you're going to get all excited in the next 24 hours with the timelines we're going to put in place now with the wallets. But just go back, revisit that episode, which is episode 17, and just over and over go over the way in which, we want you to make sure you can download and install and activate to get the icon into the home page. Now, again, that was the iPhone live example, and we haven't done the Android. We've decided that that's so simple, we'd be blown away if people can't follow that. I've had a go. Even though I've got my own iPhone, over the weekend we had a go at that again and again, and it's really so simple. I mean, when you get to that point where you've got your SMS and you've clicked the button and it asks you to install, and then two buttons come up. One is the blue button for the iPhone and the other's for Android. Once you click that Android, the Android instructions are absolutely crystal clear. A lot simpler to get that icon on your home page. Once it's on the home page, you're in the home straight. You can just press that icon and then you get into, activate, and then you get into the send and so forth. Now, in this period, we're going to be making sure there will be a download video, a live one that I'll do again, and that'll just give you the comfort so that there's no doubts in your mind as to how that's going to happen. So circling back then, that's the how part, the how question in relation to the crypto exchange, Bittrex Global. And the final question that comes up then, of course, is the why. Why have we honed in on Bittrex Global? So I did a few summaries with the team, and the team's done an amazing job. They've probably analysed the best part of probably 80 exchanges around the world, and they all have their quirks. Some are better than others, and some people get comfortable because they're dealing in Aussie dollars. But when you're talking on a global platform, you can at least convert your credit or debit card payments. In this instance of Bittrex to US dollars, you get your conversion back. But we are focused on not just saying an isolated situation of dealing with Australian ZuCoin holders. We have them all over the world. So if you want the databases that I've referred to and you want the demand, which is the feedback from Bittrex Global, then of course that's the global positioning you put yourself in, which is a big tick for us. One of the compelling reasons for Bittrex Global. It's no good sitting on an Aussie dollar, Australian platform when you want the buying support and power coming out from those major countries I've indicated to you that are well outside of Australian jurisdiction, if that's the way you want to see the demand. And that was a major compelling reason that changed my thoughts, which would have been put in place, was the $60 floor, no issue. But the teams have said it's just not required given the globalization of where we're heading with the exchange. Now, I mentioned earlier, in terms of the Bittrex Global, wonderful bunch of people to deal with on all levels, and it's the circling into the why again. Well, firstly, you'll find that Bittrex Global and Bittrex USA. So by having the global contract, which allows for international clients, it also allows us to feed into Bittrex USA. And we're doing an enormous amount of work on our legals on that front. So that's bubbling behind the scenes. But that's an entree into that market through Bittrex USA, which is really the powerhouse of where you want to be, on the basis that the legal advices, which we believe will happen, is consistent with all the other jurisdictions, and that it's not a security. And to get us through that, we have engaged a significant consultants that are on the payroll now, which is called GenesisBlockchain.io, headed up by an attorney called Sam Proctor. And they're beavering away behind the scenes that once the wallets are completely in everybody's hands and that last ZuCoin holder ticks that box that he's done and dusted, whoever that may be, then, of course, the API comes into play, and that opens the floodgates for our US attorneys to start the ball rolling on that finalisation, that advice, which means that being operational with the API with Bittrex Global, that 3 to 6 week cycle, the moment that starts again from the last wallet being activated. So that's the trigger date for that. But if we look at that, then that makes it a lot easier for a switch to turn the switch on a lot quicker in the USA with USA-based exchanges, including what we want to be with talking with and working with Bittrex USA. So if you look at the research in that regard, Bittrex Global's been around since 2013, 2014, and it has the highest reputation, the best reputation for security of its platform. Now, that's probably the most important consideration we made in looking at the reason why we've selected that organisation. Now, they have ratings that aren't as high in terms of, like a 3.2 out of 5 for customer support, because they have a policy that they're pushing automation. And of course, that's where we want to be. We don't want a million people ringing or sending emails to us because they can't work out how to download the wallet. That's the whole point of the soft launch, because that's not going to happen. It's disconnected. It's decentralized, and that's the whole point. Let others specialize in that field to give you anyone else assistance. So they had a lower rating in that regard from customer support, but the highest rating they had was in the processes of the ease of which you can use their system to trade, buy and sell, not just obviously in our case ZuCoins, but other coins. And more importantly, the way they have their security of all of your crypto, which is in cold storage and bringing it in what they call hot, as and when you're required to trade. And if I take that, to the level of, the attraction of that, it's interesting that the founders have been around. They're one of the only exchanges that's never been hacked. And that put that liquid situation where we're writing out a big check to list, put the fear in us that it's no good whether it's your coins or mine. I don't, even though they reside on the phone and they're with the peer, it certainly means that there may be situations where, you're just going to have to reside some of your coins in the security of the exchange to speed up the efficiencies in the future. I don't know whether that will be the case or not, but if it was, you want to get the best exchange for that security. So the founders of Bittrex USA and Bittrex Global, the two organizations, one for USA, one for global clients, it turns out that they're a pretty formidable team because their expertise was cybersecurity, and they come from a background of Microsoft and Amazon. So the three gentlemen there, really, who now are the CEO, the CIO, and the CTO, are a very formidable team in what they've built as a trading exchange. And they're getting more innovative as well with the on and off ramping. That is the way you put money into and the money you get out and the trading that happens. Now, in an institutional sense, they're not right up with the game in terms of margin lending and that sort of stuff, but that's not going to affect us at this stage. That's for another day, and that's for the other institutions. But from a retail perspective, and you got to remember, my whole business model has been about mass adoption globally for the man in the street. So, the big guns can play the field as they see fit and participate in other derivatives and exchanges that may evolve as a result of ZuCoins. But for where we sit, it's far more important that those 5 or 6 countries that I've identified in my earlier episode, plus the mass adoption, and because there's no transactional cost or fees, that puts us in box seat for serious demand, which circles back again. I'm going to say it again. The old quantity theory of money, MV equals PT. So let's think about that. That was a big compelling reason. At the end of the day, the overall ranking, they're in the top 20. They came in at 13. You've got your powerhouse ones like Coinbase and Binance, but even Binance has had its issues. It may be big, but it's certainly been under the regulatory pump because it hasn't had the KYC and the compliance stuff that certainly Bittrex excels at, which means that given the context of you operating your coins with your phone, which puts us in box seat to make sure we're still well and truly ahead of the game regulatory-wise, and we get rid of all those anonymous little woodies out there, which is another part of the process. It means that, when you go through to open your Bittrex account, you do have to go through the appropriate AML KYC, and that's driven from a Microsoft Amazon mentality. It's painless, but just do it. It's like COVID. The Australian world has now got used to QR code readers and all the rest of it. 12, 16 months ago, we had people didn't know what they were. In fact, ZuCas, when we won the 2020 Australian Innovation Business of the Year award, that was one of our features in ZuCas well before COVID came along. So we want to stay ahead of the curve, and that was a major reason in the why of Bittrex Global. So they come in an overall rating of 4.8 out of 5, and you can see they've got very solid daily turnover. in what they do. Now, as an exchange, where you want to be when you start trading, once you've opened your accounts with them and you've got the link there, access to millions of people worldwide. That was a very compelling reason in the why. They already have significant trading database of retail clients globally, and they do promote and push heavily new coins that come onto their platform. So that was a major part of the why. The second was the due diligence we had to go through to validate the project. So all this nonsense you hear about the coins and the split lock and all the rest of it, that's been validated again through the very processes of getting the Bittrex global contract. So that validation through them is a significant endorsement and tick as to where we want to see the product once we list on the exchange. The coins are listed on the exchange. Now, as part of the contract that we have, they do a lot of work behind the scenes in the lead up time. So that 3 weeks to 6 weeks window of API development I talk about won't be going to waste. There's an enormous amount of pre-listing marketing action that's happening. So behind the scenes, you've got the marketing teams of Bittrex are coming in supporting our strategies, and that's about creating global recognition in the lead up to the final listing of your ZuCoins. So as part of our contract, there is a heavy weighting towards the knowledge they have in this space and getting people's attention to certain new coins that are coming into play. And that was a big factor that we saw as a kickstart whilst we're starting behind the scenes with our marketing strategies. So there was a natural synergy there, and and I love some of the stuff they're going to be doing. And a lot of that can come into things down the road that I've talked about through ZuCas, which is your competitions and marketing strategies. So they are very excited about that and the way in which we can handle geo mapping and augmented reality global dropping. More about that later. Certainly, they have a very, very extensive network of their connections already. And that circles back to a couple of the market makers that we've been now dealing with through those connections and have got those on board. And that's all about behind the scenes, creating the appropriate liquidity and making sure that there is liquidity in the market. Now, from where we sit, the biggest issue is going to be making sure there's supply, excuse me, that there's supply. And if need be, we've got market makers that have committed to take on board, if they need it, some of our treasury coins to assist with that demand, because we do have a large percentage of hodls, people holding ZuCoins longer term. And the last thing you need is not enough coins in the marketplace to support, the global platform where you want the liquidity and volume trading. So that's another compelling reason of the excitement that we have with Bittrex Global, just to let you in on that bit of news about the support that's happening unbeknown to you. And they draw that in because they can draw that liquidity and support based on the two platforms, the USA one plus the global platform. So that was a big thing. Now they're going to market heavily across all their channels, and they've got existing databases, I said, in the millions. And those channels are what most people are used to, but certainly they can push them out. That's your email blast, podcast appearances by some very exciting people that'll be talking about ZuCoins, trading competition, explainer videos in relation to both their platform and the coins, more about the coins. You've got some social media stuff that they will be doing. As you know, I'm not on the social media, couldn't give two hoots, but they have the networks there that'll put those blasts out in relation to those promotional materials of this new coin that's going to hit its straps on their exchange globally. So that's was a big component in the contracts that we've executed and paid for. So we look forward to that. LinkedIn as well. Now, I think too and they talk about their behind the scenes being getting they're available through Bittrex USA, which is the next step. That they're conscious of all of the regulatory hurdles. They're compliant in all the states in America, and you get past those hurdles, and it's a game changer because you're inviting 300 million people to participate in a new product and what they do. So none of this would have happened if they hadn't have done their homework on the split chain and the technology. And that's why we're proud to put this on the table. This is a goer, and in this announcement, this episode today, which is giving you a heads up on that. Now, I did look at the a recent in personal finance on Insider. This is only a few days old, and the best crypto exchanges for October of 2021. Obviously, Coinbase came in at number 1. Binance was number 2. Kraken was number 3. CX.io is number 4. Gemini is number 5. And number 6 was Bittrex. So we're very comfortable with our decision and putting this in place as part of that. And I don't think that's. I think that was the conclusion reached in as to the why. So, quick recap: 4 things. The first one being the who. It's Bittrex Global. That's what's going to happen. The when. Again, the moment the API is integrated with your wallets. I mean, you'll have the wallets and you'll be doing your thing, and you can even send and receive amongst each other and all that sort of stuff. But the moment the last person we get over the line, it's going to be 100% success rate, by the way, guys and girls. Every single person will be on the system noted as their wallet active. Active will be the key. And the when is 3 to 6 weeks from that for listing on the exchange. I'll talk about more of the rollout now of the wallets tomorrow in my final episode for season 1, which is the Alan Endres sequence of events and everything I wanted you to know about the whole program of ZuCoins and ZuCas in those episodes. That's what season 1 was all about, putting everything on the table. If you talk about the how, well, that's, you guys won't even bother with the how because that's going to be the respective development teams. Probably 80% of the heavy lifting will be done by Robert because of the uniqueness of the API. Remember, there's not an API like it in the world. We're doing things first again. So that API is the how between the two teams. And of course, the why is that we're very, very excited with a big player like Bittrex Global really wanting to come out of the blocks and support ZuCoins with the promotional materials, the marketing strategies, the way in which they're going to go about bringing ZuCoins to everybody's attention once it's listed on their exchange. And of course, that opens up the gates, as I said earlier, that you have one template of this API, and ZuCas is well positioned to start to release that to all its, on its upgraded versions to its merchants, etc., for all those big picture images. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me. It's all about the crypto exchange update today, and look forward to tomorrow. Don't miss tomorrow because you're going to get the whole flow, the timelines in relation to the soft launch now going into overdrive. We've tempered it as well to make sure that there's no panic buttons hit. The rollout is systematic. I'll talk about that. And, there's a bit of fat in that rollout as well to give people the opportunity to make sure that they get it right. You'll still end up with the 10 coins first up so that you get comfortable with that. You'll hear all about that tomorrow. We don't want our people over the age of 65 panicking because the ones under 25 are keen to get new cars and houses too quickly. It's about everybody having that opportunity and everybody getting it right, which we're very pleased at the moment. The success of the last lot of wallets last week was fantastic. So look forward to everybody. This is exciting stuff. $55,000 for Bitcoin. As I said, it's one of the great things that I love. Trust in crypto, because this whole blockchain experience and split chain is a new world coming, and we're at the front of it. We are that big tsunami wave coming into the beach to smash everybody else, if you may recall from an earlier episode. So Be kind, be zoo kind, be safe, because it's zoo time. Cheers, everybody.